The largest company in the world, Nvidia, has been oscillating between the $5 trillion market cap threshold in recent days. It's higher than that now. However, those are only transient changes. When it might reach $10 trillion, the next significant milestone, is what long-term investors are most interested in knowing. But is Nvidia really going to make it that far? How long will there be a need for AI chips? One of the greatest winners from the AI build-out has been Nvidia. The best AI computer processors on the market are still its graphics processing units, GPUs. I don't see this changing anytime soon given its quick expansion and the persistent shortage of data center chips in comparison to demand. Wall Street experts predict that the company's revenue will increase by 72% this year. Given all of that, it should come as no surprise that some investors think it will eventually reach a $10 trillion market capitalization. But how would that happen? We must first set some goals. One of those is a valuation. If the market were prepared to pay twice as much for Nvidia's current earnings, the company might be worth $10 trillion. Nvidia is currently trading for about 43 times its profits, which is by no means cheap, but that premium also represents the company's explosive growth. It would be in keeping with other large IT companies that have traded comfortably in that range for almost 10 years if its valuation were only 30 times earnings. To support a $10 trillion market valuation, Nvidia would need to make $333 billion in net income at a price-to-earnings ratio of 30. Nvidia has made $120 billion in net profits over the last 12 months, with a 56% profit margin on its sales. Those numbers are remarkable. Assuming that Nvidia's margins remain constant, the company's net income growth would be equal to its revenue growth. In that scenario, roughly $600 billion in sales would be needed to generate $333 billion in net profits. Wall Street analysts predict that Nvidia's sales will increase from $370 billion this year to approximately $484 billion next year, a growth rate of just 31%. But throughout the whole AI build-out, Wall Street has underestimated Nvidia's growth rate. I believe investors might realistically expect Nvidia to reach a $10 trillion market cap in roughly 3 years, given the long-term nature of the AI infrastructure build-out and Wall Street's ongoing tendency to underestimate Nvidia's growth. The stock would double throughout that period, making Nvidia a good investment right now. With a recent share price of $211,497, Nvidia has experienced extremely high returns over the last 3 and 5 years, in addition to an 80.2% gain in the last year. Short-term gains of 6.0% over the last week, 18.8% over the last 30 days, and 12.0% year-to-date have kept investors' interest as the company explores new verticals, including pharmaceutical research. This Simulations Plus partnership demonstrates how Nvidia is integrating its GPUs and software into processes at the heart of pharmacological R&D for audiences following the advancement of AI in practical applications. Investors who follow Nvidia can observe how thoroughly its platforms are integrated into fields like pharmacology and quantitative systems, as well as if comparable collaborations develop throughout the larger life sciences industry. Through this Simulations Plus partnership, Nvidia's GPUs are directly plugged into some of the most computationally demanding aspects of drug research, including quantitative systems pharmacology and physiologically based pharmacokinetics. The most important lesson for you is that Nvidia is collaborating with a specialized software vendor whose technologies are already utilized in pharmaceutical R&D rather than merely selling chips into generic data centers. In testing, GPU-optimized QSP and PK/PD workflows could reduce end-to-end modeling times by up to 75%, which could make these approaches more feasible within constrained drug development deadlines. As a result, there may be a greater need for high-performance computers tailored to the life sciences, and Nvidia's AI platforms, such as BioNeMo, may be used more extensively. By concentrating on what runs on AI, validated scientific engines, and AI-assisted workflows that enable researchers to iterate on models, parameters, and virtual populations more rapidly, the move also complements existing infrastructure-heavy collaborations with IREN and Corning. This is place in the story of Nvidia. By demonstrating how Nvidia hardware and AI software are utilized in core pharmaceutical modeling rather than just general-purpose cloud workloads, the Simulations Plus project bolsters the idea that AI demand is widespread across industries. The concept that regulatory, data usage, or model validation constraints could impede the adoption of new AI-heavy workflows in certain industries is highlighted by relying on partners in highly regulated drug development. The potential impact of life sciences-centric growth may not be fully represented because the narrative places more emphasis on hyperscaler and data center AI factories and less emphasis on domain-specific platforms like BioNemo and pharmacology engines. According to people familiar with the situation, a major player in Thailand's national AI effort is allegedly involved in the smuggling of billions of dollars worth of Supermicrocomputer Inc. servers with cutting-edge Nvidia Corp. chips to China, with Alibaba Group holding looted, being one of several end users. This year, U.S. authorities described a plot in which the co-founder of Supermicro allegedly collaborated with an unidentified Southeast Asian business and a rotating cast of outside brokers to redirect the AI semiconductors in violation of U.S. trade regulations. According to the People, the Southeast Asian company that the prosecutors merely referred to as Company 1 is Obon Corp., which is situated in Bangkok. The persons, who asked to remain anonymous in order to discuss a delicate legal and geopolitical issue, claim that some of the $2.5 billion worth of servers sold to Obon moved to Chinese AI leader Alibaba. In a March indictment that sent Supermicro's stock plummeting, the prosecutors detailed the entire operation. This was by far the biggest investigation on chip smuggling since Washington officially banned Nvidia sales to China in 2022. Obon and Alibaba are not named in the indictment, and U.S. officials have not made any public accusations against them. Both the Commerce Department's Bureau of Industry and Security, which was instrumental in the investigation, and the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York, which is prosecuting the case, declined to comment. A representative for the Chinese corporation stated that Alibaba has no commercial ties to Supermicro, Obon, or any other third-party brokers that might have been referenced in the relevant indictment. The suspected smuggling activities do not include us. In our data centers, we have never used any prohibited Nvidia chips. According to a May 2024 press release, Obon, a little-known business outside of the tech community, is in charge of developing Siam AI, Thailand's sovereign cloud champion. In order to enable Obon to build Siam AI Cloud and transform the nation's AI roadmap, Obon said at the time that it would install Nvidia servers in a modest data center in Bangkok. 4 months earlier, Siam AI had been incorporated as a distinct business. Later, Siam AI became the first official Nvidia cloud partner in Thailand and hosted Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang for a glamorous event centered around so-called sovereign AI. The data is the most crucial component of artificial intelligence. In a fireside chat with Siam AI CEO Ratanaphon Wongnaphachant in December 2024, Huang stated that the Thai people own the data. According to the company's press announcement, Ratanaphon, the nephew of Thai billionaire and former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra, served as Obon's CEO until at least May 2024. For more information about Obon, visit Siam AI's website. It's unclear if Obon and Siam AI still have a business relationship, despite the two businesses' paths having been entwined and overlapped. In a phone conversation on Wednesday, Ratanaphon stated that he left Obon when he started Siam AI, therefore he was unable to respond to U.S. allegations that Obon had smuggled chips to China. He responded, "I will only address Siam AI, which is that the company is not involved in this." Following the publication of this news, Siam AI issued a further statement on Saturday, stating that it is dedicated to fully adhering to all applicable U.S. export and re-export control rules and regulations. Ratanaphon stated on Wednesday that Siam AI buys GPUs for our own usage, alluding to graphics processing units, like as those produced by Nvidia. Obon is one of several providers from which Siam AI has secured AI servers in Thailand, according to a person familiar with the company's operations, who asked to remain anonymous when discussing private matters. In addition to the data center that Obon highlighted during Siam AI's May 2024 launch, Siam AI has announced at least 2 other agreements for computing facilities, one of which called for a joint acquisition of Nvidia processors with a partner in Dubai. The most sought-after parts of the AI era are Nvidia semiconductors. Governments all over the world see them as essential for technological sovereignty, and companies like OpenAI utilize thousands of them in enormous data centers to train and run models like ChatGPT. Washington has successfully prevented China from receiving these chips since 2022 due to worries that cutting-edge AI could provide Beijing a military advantage. The regulations serve as a license requirement, requiring businesses to obtain approval from the U.S. government before shipping almost any of Nvidia's AI processors to the Asian nation. This condition is still in effect even after President Donald Trump recently stated that he would permit some sales. As a result, Chinese businesses now have essentially two ways to obtain the greatest AI gear available. They can either purchase chips that have been smuggled into China or rent chips that are physically placed in facilities abroad, which is generally permitted by U.S. law and what businesses like Alibaba are known to do. Don't forget to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your input helps create a more knowledgeable community where we can all learn and grow together in the world of investing. Stay up to date with the latest market trends, insights, and key updates by subscribing to Investing Tutorial. We're here to help you make smarter investment decisions and stay ahead of the curve.
I was just saying Paul Tudor Jones talking about the AI bull market, which has more room to run the next year or two. I quoted Tom Lee from Fundstrat, who was hot on Bitcoin this morning. What I'm not hearing is a lot of folks saying sell, or run for the hills. What are you? I mean, there's no doubt after 5 weeks of running up, some folks will say maybe it's a little stretched or overbought. What are your thoughts?
Morning, Nicole. We've certainly had a really great run here from the lows at the end of March. And specifically, we've seen a big run up in the tech sector, which had been lagging to some degree this year. We, like what you just said, we do see more room for the momentum to continue. I mean, what we've been seeing so far with this earnings season and the reports that are coming out of these companies have been incredibly strong. 85% of companies are beating, and on average, those beats are by 20% right now. So seeing these strong results and how well companies are doing and the improvements we've seen with record profit margins and improving productivity, we do believe there's more room for this to continue.
Understood. At this point now, when you talk about the run that could continue, what kind of sectors do you think can lead the way?
So we do think that the returns going forward can be broad-based. I mean, we saw some more of the broadening out at the beginning of this year, and then we've really seen tech kind of take the lead over the last month or so. And we do think that with all the continued build out around the AI ecosystem, that tech and growth will continue to do well, that there's more runway ahead on those parts of the market. But we do also see a lot of opportunity within the value sectors, which really have outperformed so far on a year-to-date basis. And we also think small caps have more room to run and are look pretty attractive where they are at a valuation perspective relative to other parts of the market, as well as emerging markets. And we've seen both of those do well. I mean, small caps are up about 16% this year, so more than double the return of US large cap, and emerging markets are up over 20%. So those are both more attractively valued relative to some other parts of the market. But we are looking, on the value side and just looking, we do think this is an environment where diversification will continue to play out in a positive way.
Yeah, I actually was looking at small caps early this morning when I saw the record, and 16%, it's wild because small caps were left out for like a decade. So many folks would keep small caps for a diversified portfolio, but they just really were underperforming. And you think there's still room to go to the upside in a group that's already run up 16%. And it makes sense to be diversified and all that. When we think about the AI trade, I mean, you did mention, that value plays were looking good. It seems like a lot of things are outperforming, right? And small caps and value. But when we get back to growth, what kind of stocks or tech in particular do you think could lead the way?
That's a great question. And we saw incredible earnings last week from the hyperscalers, and the beats there have been really tremendous, where there's been a lot of question around whether they're going to see the returns on investments that they've made with this capital expenditure at the levels that they're making, with expected to be close to 800 billion this year, $1 trillion next year. I mean, these are not small numbers, but that we're seeing that the earnings growth has been accelerating and margins have shown improvement. So the big tech companies continue to look attractive. And and there will be winners and losers kind of all around the spectrum. And we do think there's room in the private markets too. I mean, there's so many companies staying private for longer that if you have the ability to invest in the private equity space, where some of these companies are really coming out and getting that kind of diversification as well on the tech side, it's hard to say who will be the next big winners, but we do want to maintain exposure kind of just broadly across the space.